Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkey with Startup Trading. It is Monday, May 4th, 2020. It is 8:38 a.m. Eastern Time. So just looking at some scheduled news for the week. Tomorrow, this is tentatively scheduled uh, that a German Constitutional Court ruling is going to rule on the constitutionality of the ECB's asset purchase program. So this should be interesting if it is negative for that program to what it does to the market. So this is going to be a wild card. Um, my guess is the ruling will be in favor. I haven't followed this at all, but I think the markets would be pulling back a lot more if they thought that they couldn't do anything with this purchase program. And to be honest with you, if that does happen over there, right, there might be a flight to quality to come over here. It's hard to say how this will go. Just trust the charts and the technicals, but just remember that if this ruling does come out, it could be a wild card if it's just not status quo. If it's status quo, you might get a little bit of a blip, but if it's against the status quo, it could be very interesting. Then Tuesday, also at 10, you're going to have ISM for the U.S. markets. Wednesday, 8:15, you're going to have ADP, non-farm payroll. This usually isn't a big mover, but just to be aware that it's there. It's pre-market anyways. And then 2 o'clock on Thursday at 2 a.m., Bank of England rates. And then we got our unemployment claims Thursday at 8:30. And then the big news for the week, other than this wild card up here, is non-farm payroll at Friday at 8:30. So looking at the bigger earnings this week, there's really nothing that's gonna shake the indexes and make them move, in my opinion. So I don't think there's any, you can play the individual stocks, of course, if you want, but I don't think there's anything that's going to drive the indices up or down just by the report itself. Could be wrong. We'll find out. Looking back at Friday's action, right, we had an underwater close on Thursday, or not underwater close, let me rephrase. We had underwater trades go off on Thursday, which I mark with this blue area of the chart. It's a technical sign that I like to watch. So what I like to watch for is after the bell rings, right, the bears need to push it and drive it down underneath the overnight low, which is the green dotted line. And then they need to hold it there for the rest of the session. So you can see we had a little bit of a pop, almost nothing on the Russell. The NASDAQ, right, the solid blue line where it starts is where the bell opened. You popped up, got into the water, right, which is the very beginning of the overhead supply from the previous session, and just sold off underneath the overnight low. The rest of the indices were the same thing. Couldn't even get much traction above the open, right, and went down. So the bears pressed it down Friday. So looking at the profile action of how the shares were distributed for the ES and the NASDAQ, the blue was the overnight trading, the gray was the overnight. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The blue was the overnight trading, the gray was the bell-to-bell trading, and this gold line is where the indices settled at 415. Not settled, but that's the last trade before 415. So you can see that for the NASDAQ, right, the point of control is fairly high. For the ES, it's fairly low. So we'll see if we end up getting chop out of that. But you can see there's overhead supply, quite a bit of different distributions above us. So as we look at today's action, and at 8, we've got 43.5 points in the overnight session. You can see that for the most part, it's almost all below Friday's low, which was 28.1175 on the bell. And you can see that we've got down to 27.71 in this session so far. So not a lot going on. Really can't get anything going. Got down to S2. As we look at all the indexes, right, you can see the Russell's a little bit stronger. It's barely got below, Friday's low with any conviction except for right on the open, right? In the last 6.5 almost 11 hours really, it's been above the previous or Friday's low, right? And it's flirting with the value area low right now. So that'll be a sign to watch. Remember, the Russell is the biggest beta play right now. So we'll see if it's beta up or beta down today. So also looking at the Nasdaq, just right at the low from Friday. ES again a little bit below, and the Dow, look, it hasn't even traded within Friday's range yet. It's the only one that hasn't. The red dotted line, which is the overnight high, is still below the green dash line, which is Friday's bell-to-bell low. So we'll see if the bears can keep pressing again or not. But the Russell is trying to lean up and get something going. It'll be hard to believe that it could get past value area high, the Russell, if these other indices can't get inside of Friday's range and hold and get into their value area lows, break through that point as well. Looking at the sequences, you can see it's a chop fest, right? For the bears, broken the orange line. For the bulls, broken the orange line. But as of basically 5 a.m., right, the bulls are trying to get something going. Same thing on this, right? For the Nasdaq, it's a lot cleaner, right? They've never lost the bullish draw in the overnight session once the low was made. So watch the Nasdaq as well as the Russell, and you can see for the bears, right, they're trading through this. And then looking at the Russell, sloppy again. So maybe the Nasdaq will be the cleanest today. So just want to look and see where we are. This low that I've got marked on the chart that I'm looking at for a few weeks ago is around 24.24, and that's going to come in right on basically April 2nd, the beginning of April there. And you can see we've moved up. We really did a lot of consolidating, right? We tried to pop over and couldn't. We lost it and went back into range. So watch around 27.50, give or take a point or two, if we get down there this week, and see if it can hold or not. That's where we're really going to get into possibly a deeper pullback. If you look, we only had 2 days of trading on the 7th and the 8th of April that were in this pocket, right? So this could be a little bit of a raceway between 26.27 and 27.32 as we go back and forth up here. Looking at the and what I'm looking for today, let's zoom in here today. I'm still watching 28.08, 28.29, and then 27.77, right, which we've breached in the overnight session. So see if we can, what we get with these lines and the support and resistance here. Looking at the Nasdaq, let's see if it can get back. I think we're going to prove something. It's the one that's trying to hold bullish draws coming out of these lows. If it can get past where this overnight high is, which is basically right around 8,700, I've got it marked off at 86.98. Getting back over that, you've got the point of control for the contract so far at 87.24, and then going up, we can get to the basically 87.86. But really, what you got to watch to the downside is any traction after the bell rings below 86.09 is going to be problematic. And then getting back below 8,600, right, it should be a flush. And these dotted lines, I wouldn't even pay too much of attention to them. Probably I'll put a solid line on here for tomorrow, but right around 83.91 could potentially be a target yet this week as we come into non-farm payroll. I wouldn't expect too much of a trend one way or another. I would expect some chop and range before non-farm payroll Friday. So a little bit of shopping in a different range this week is what I suspect, and then maybe a trend change next week after non-farm payroll on Friday. Looking at the Russell, we're holding the 1224.40, right? So we got 1250 above it, 1284 above that, 1197.20 below that. So just chopping in this these ranges, and it's really holding well between these levels as it breaks and loses support resistance lines. Looking at the Dow. So the Dow, after it's come up over this 22,325, right? Again, you just have 2 days of action, and then it's 23,075. So this looks very close to the ES. Remember, they track well together. They've been tracking for the most part for the last 60 days, if not the year, pretty closely together. And when I say 60 days, I mean 60 trading sessions. So as we look at this, right, getting below this 23,075 is going to be problematic, just like that level was for the ES. And then above, we're sitting here going back and forth against this 23,391. This might end up being a washed out level. We'll have to see. But above this is 23,560 and 23,710. But I would think the 560, it's going to have that should be resistance for the Dow going above, and maybe track this week between the 23,075 and the 23,560. Get a little bit of a consolidation down here, and maybe a failure to go higher above it, failure to go lower above it or below it. Looking at all the indices and kind of putting a wrap on this morning's thoughts. So what I really want to do is watch these overnight highs and lows today. I'm assuming that we're going to have, failure to go higher and, failure to go lower. And we'll probably spend most of the day's action between this range that the overnight action has set. And we'll see. One thing that will change your mind, right, if you start getting the internals popping green dots solidly for extended periods of time on the top of or the bottom of the chart, that's extended, buying pressure or selling pressure. And then watch the value area. Again, I think for the top for the Russell would be 1266.50 if we can't get inside the value areas for the other three indices. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. If you would like to load this chart that has the profiles on them with these other markings on it, there's a link below on how you can subscribe to that. And this is with Thinkorswim, and then there's a level sheet that comes with it. So if you use some other software, you can program in the value area freely. It gives you the levels on the sheet. Have a great day. Give it a thumbs up if you like this material, and we'll see you tomorrow.